Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks again for popping by. Today's video is going to be a Q&A on how I cope with 4 boys, with 4 children. This is a really highly requested video because daily I get questions from you guys on Instagram and Facebook, just asking me general questions on how I cope, what our routine is like, how I feel. So I thought, what better way than to do a video and just tell you all in one place, so that if ever you have any questions you might refer back to this video because I may have already answered it in here for you. Just before I crack on with the Q&A, I just wanted to let you know about ChannelMums Forum and Facebook group. If you're not a part of it or aware of it, then I'll leave the links in the description box below. But on ChannelMums Forum there are experts for absolutely everything. There's an expert for sleep, mental health, literally anything you could possibly think of. There is a trained expert in the group that if ever you want advice or any tips or anything like that, then you can always go onto the forum and ask a question. So while we're talking about experts, it's actually this month's Channel Mum topic. So as you know, I am a Channel Mum vlogger and I always do these monthly topics that Channel Mum throw at us. I wouldn't say I'm an expert in anything in particular, but one thing I do feel like I am good at and I do excel in and I have a lot of knowledge and experience in is being a mum. Obviously I have 4 little boys, so I feel very experienced. I feel like I have a lot of tips and advice to give. But yeah, I just thought I would do a video. So this is kind of my expert area, although I'm not an expert. So yeah, I'm just going to crack on with the questions. I'm going to try and get through as many as I can without making this video way too long. So first question, how do you juggle between 4 of them being so small, and do you find it stressful? I feel like I've got the whole juggling down to an art now. You know, we're sort of 8 months into having 4 children and I feel like we quickly sort of got used to having another child. Yeah, I do find it stressful at times and there are days where I just feel like overwhelmed with stress, but it's just how you deal with it, isn't it? And I do feel like I am quite a calm person. I am a pretty positive person most of the time. So yeah, I feel like it's all to do with your mindset as well as to how you deal with it. So do you ever leave the house with all of them? Yes, it did take me quite a while before I actually left with all 4 of them, and I don't do it every single day. Just because I do find it quite stressful. Not in the sense that I can't cope with them, because I can cope with them. It's just when I'm out and about in a public place, I worry more than stress, because I worry about losing them. I worry about somebody, I know it sounds so ridiculous, but swiping them away from me. You know, I've only got 1 pair of hands and I've got double the children, so it's not always comfortable for me to take them out in certain situations. If it's a very busy place like in the school holidays, I tend to avoid it just because I don't want to feel that stress, I don't want to feel that worry, and they just feed upon it as well, and then the whole situation becomes stressful. So yes, I do take them out on my own. It's not very often, and usually we go out more on the weekends when Dan is home, because we can have 2 and 2 then, so it's not so bad. So the next question is, what's the best part of having 4 boys so close in age? Just seeing their bond is the most incredible thing. They're just like 4 little best friends, and they've got their own little clique, their own little gang, and hopefully that just grows and grows and grows as they grow, because already it's just an unbreakable bond. Next question is, how do you stay so upbeat and positive whilst looking after all 4 boys? I just find that so much easier to do than be down and negative, because I feel like if I'm in a happy positive mood, then it really reflects on the boys' behaviour. If I am feeling a little bit low and feeling like I can't cope, or a bit overwhelmed with everything, housework, cooking, you know, that kind of thing, work, then I feel like that reflects the boys too, and their behaviour changes, and then it just becomes one massive big stressful day. So I try to always wake up in a positive mood. I try and just be happy from the get-go, and that kind of sets the day off really. So yeah, I just try my hardest to just be positive. I don't know how I do it. I just tell myself every morning like today's going to be a good day, and 9 times out of 10 it is a good day because I'm in the right mood. Did you find it hard going from 3 to 4? No, actually that was probably our easiest transition, I would say 3 to 4, because when you have number 3, that's when you really learn how to juggle your time, because you know, when you've got 2 children, looking back now, I find two children quite easy because I've got 2 hands. You know, you can split your time in half, and I found that having 2 children generally was quite easy. Marco was so poorly and we had a lot of issues with him, with my pregnancy, him being premature, him being poorly, that kind of thing. So that jump for us really was a huge change because Marco needed so much more attention. But 3 to 4 honestly is no different, because you're already splitting your time, you're already outnumbered. Obviously I totally understand that everybody is so different, but in our situation it's no different. It was no different for us. What's the hardest thing about having 4 aged 4 and under? The hardest thing is that they are so needy still. I mean, Lorenzo, he's 4.5, so he goes to school in September, but he is still very sensitive, he's still very loving and caring, and he does want cuddles all the time and reassuring. And I think when they're all so young, they just all want me, and sometimes they just all want me at the same time. So yeah, I think the hardest thing about having 4 aged 4 and under is them all wanting me at the same time, and I feel like I just want to split myself in quarters and just give a bit to everyone, but I just can't do that. It's not possible. Are you constantly sleep deprived? Yes, I feel like my new normal is tired, but you just deal with it and cope with it because you have to. I can't nap in the day anymore. So yeah, I feel like I am constantly sleep deprived, but I know that it's not going to be forever and I will get my sleep back eventually, so it is totally worth it. Next question, how do you find time to do any housework? Well, I tend to, when the boys are eating, I tend to have a quick hoover around or a sweep around. I get the boys to have a little chamois and they go around doing some dusting, so I get them to help and I make it a fun thing. I don't ever deep clean when I'm on my own with them, just because I'd rather give them my time than the house. The house on a whole is generally quite tidy. We make sure we do the big jobs at the weekend, so the cleaning the bathrooms, dusting the whole house, that kind of thing. We leave that to a weekend when one of us can do that, one of us can watch the boys. But to be honest with you, cleaning the house is not a priority for me during the week. The priority for me is my boys, so I just tend to do little bits, you know, just like cleaning up after lunch, that kind of thing. Just keeping it tidy as you go, I think, is better than letting it get an absolute tip and then tidy it up at the end of the day. I just think do little bits as you go and it never really seems that messy. So next question is, how do you find time for yourself and will you have any more? Yeah, I don't really get me time, although I have started my dance fitness class up again. So every Wednesday now for an hour I am at the house and I'm doing something that I love doing. And although I just think about the boys the whole time, it is nice to be able to get back to doing something that I love doing. And will you have any more? Unfortunately, I don't think we will, because Dan, I think he's certain that he's done, but I still would like to have 1 or 2 more. I really don't feel done. Doesn't mean to say that the boys are they're not complete, because they do complete me. They, you know, are the most amazing things ever. But because they're so amazing, I just think, why not have any more? I'm still young. I'd still love to be pregnant again. Yeah, I know some people may think that that's greedy, but I don't know. I feel like I have so much love to give, and I feel like our house is just so loving and so full, and I just love it. I love it. I would love to have more children, yeah. 1, definitely. 2, possibly, if I can persuade Dan. Next question, do they all sleep at night, and how did you get through the 4-month sleep regression? No, they don't all sleep at night. The older 2 are amazing. Don't really hear much from them unless they need a wee. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and Nico snuck in our bed. Francesco wakes up usually once for a feed and that is it, but he's quite easy. He'll feed and then go back down to sleep again. But Marco, on the other hand, I have never had a child like it. He is just a nightmare. He just doesn't sleep. He's up most of the night, and yeah, it's quite tough. But I feel like, again, that I'm just used to it. So yeah, I mean, I know I can survive on very little sleep, so it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. And the 4-month sleep regression, I really don't feel like Francesco had that. I mean, I'm up usually through the night anyway, so whether he did have the sleep regression at 4 months and I just didn't realise because I was up anyway. There were a few nights, quite a few nights, where I was up with both of the boys. So yeah, maybe he did. How do you get them all in the car? And how do you get out the house on time? Being organised. Getting out the house on time is all about being organised. If I know I need to be somewhere early in the morning, I'll get all their stuff ready the night before. I'll line their clothes up, iron them, get them all ready, the nappies, the wipes, everything that I need to just get them dressed and go. I'll pack their bags the night before, prep all the bottles and stuff, do whatever I need to do so that in the morning I can just get them dressed, grab all the stuff and go. So definitely the key to being on time and getting out the house is just being organised. And how do I get them all in the car? Well, luckily we have a driveway, so I just open the back door. The older two jump in their seats anyway. I just strap them in. I'll put Francesco in his car seat in the house and run him out, and then put Marco in the seat. So actually I feel like I've got that down to a fine art now as well. So next question is, do you have a strict schedule? I have 4 and struggle splitting my time. No, we don't have a strict schedule at all. Me and Dan, we are very relaxed, chilled out people. We're not like uptight and strict on like day-to-day stuff. I mean, the only thing that we are quite strict on is discipline. Obviously we have to, otherwise our house would just be so chaotic. So yeah, we don't really have a strict schedule, to be honest. We just take each day as it comes, and you know, it all depends on the boys' moods as well, what they're like when they wake up in the morning. So yeah, we don't have a strict day-to-day schedule at all. What's the best activity that keeps everyone happy? Reading books. The boys absolutely love storybooks, so I find a way to engage with everyone, all 4, I say everyone, all 4 of them, is to read storybooks. So we'll go up in the bedroom, the boys have a book corner, we'll get comfy and we'll just read a couple of books, or even bring some downstairs and just snuggle on the sofa and read books, because that way I've got everyone's attention, and that's kind of like chill time as well. So if I'm finding the day a bit fast-paced and a bit crazy, then definitely I'll just grab some books, sit down on the sofa for 20 minutes or whatever and just read books. Yeah, and they absolutely love it. How do you get motivated when you're flagging in energy? Oh, I feel like I'm flagging all the time with energy, to be honest with you, just because I'm so tired. But again, you just have to motivate yourself. You just have to shove a broom up your bum and just get going, because otherwise you could easily just sit on the sofa all day and put the telly on and not do anything. I must admit, in the early days when Francesco was born, I did that a couple of times when Dan went back to work, just because I was so exhausted. But yeah, I just think you just have to get going. You just have to have a word with yourself and be like, right, come on, get motivated, get going, otherwise nothing gets done. And before you know it, the day's over and you feel like you've done absolutely nothing. What is your bedtime routine with 4 little ones? So we have tea at about 5:30, 6 o'clock sometimes if I'm running a bit late. The boys absolutely love showers now, so I tend to do showers more often than baths. We tend to do baths at a weekend now, because showering them is so much easier than bathing them all, especially when I'm on my own. So we'll have tea, we'll go up and shower them, get their pyjamas on, read a couple of storybooks and put them to bed. It's not strict. How did you get your newborns into a routine whilst having other children? I never really forced a routine upon Francesco. We already have a routine at home and we just carried on with that, and then he just kind of slotted in. I think newborns, they do just slot in. When it's your first, I think you're more strict on doing things at a certain time, but when you've got older children and you're already in the routine of being a mum throughout the day, then the newborns, they just slot in. Have you ever suffered with postnatal depression with any of your boys at all? No, I haven't. Luckily, I've been so lucky. I've not suffered with any kind of depression at all, to be honest. I get anxious sometimes about, as I said earlier, about taking them out or losing them or them falling ill or hurting themselves, but I think that's just a normal feeling as a mum. When you become a mum, you just worry, don't you, about all of those kinds of things that I said before. How do you do it? I struggle with 1. I get that question literally every single day of my life. How do you do it? I just do it because I have to and because I want to. I just do it. I just get on with it and do it. I'm sorry, I said before, I'm not giving the best advice or tips really, because there isn't a special knack, there isn't a hack or anything to be a good mum to these 4 little boys. Like, it is what I do. That's what I'm here for. I had those children, I will look after those children. It's just something that you do. You find the energy if you're tired. You just do. You just have to get on with it. You just do it. So the answer to that, how do I do it? You just do it. Next question, do you ever feel overwhelmed? Yes, I do. Yeah, I feel overwhelmed quite a lot of the time. If I've got piles and piles of washing, if the house is not quite how I want it, if the boys are upset and I don't know what's wrong. But again, I just sort of take a step back, take 5 minutes, just breathe, write a list and prioritise what needs to be done next, and you just work through it. Next question is, did you want your kids so close together, and if you had your time again, would you plan it differently? We never really expected to have 4 children, to be honest with you. We knew we'd definitely have the one, and we knew we would try for another one quite quickly. We didn't realise it would happen so quickly, and we hadn't planned any more children after Nico, if I'm honest with you. We had the 2 quite close together, and we were really quite sort of happy with that. And yeah, obviously both surprise pregnancies, the most amazing surprise you could ever wish for. And no, actually, if I had my time again, I wouldn't do it any differently, because this is my life and I absolutely love it and I feel totally blessed. So no, I wouldn't do it any differently. If I had the chance to, I would still do it exactly the same, plus another 1 or 2. Don't tell Dan I said that. The next question somebody has asked, what help do I get from my husband or family? So Dan is a very hands-on dad. Yes, he works 12-hour days, or he's out for 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, working to provide for us, because that was his choice. That's what he wants to do, and that's what he loves to do. And when he gets home, it is all about the boys, so he is very hands-on. He'll put them to bed and all that kind of stuff. He cooks dinner. He loves to cook as well. So yeah, he mainly is the cook in our house. He is very hands-on at weekends. He takes them out without me. You know, he's amazing. I cannot fault him at all. He is literally like super dad. And I see my mum every Wednesday. We see my mother-in-law weekly, my grandparents weekly, my dad I see weekly, my brother. So we do have a lot of help, and they are amazing really, because if me and Dan have something on, like a wedding or a party, or if we just want to go out for dinner, then the family basically drop whatever they're doing to babysit for us, because they're amazing. How do you keep your cool when they're not listening and they're being pickles? I usually just take 5 minutes. I just walk away. If they are being little pickles, being little monkeys, I just walk away, just breathe. I tend to go and stick the coffee machine on to just make a coffee, take 5 minutes out, just breathe, let them deal with what they've got to deal with, so long as they're safe obviously and not going to hurt each other. Yeah, and just take 5 minutes and just breathe, just like clear my head, take a deep breath, and then just feel refreshed and just go back and deal with the situation. Oh, okay, so next question is, how do you manage to be so patient? Do you ever lose it when they all act up? Well, I think we all lose it as mums. We get to that point where we're just like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? Just stop and behave. So yeah, I do lose my shit at times, but doesn't everyone? I try not to do that as often, because I don't like being like that. I'd rather just be patient and deal with it in a calm manner. And also I find if I raise my voice or if I shout, that the boys, they don't really react that well. I always find it more effective if I speak to them quietly but sternly, so they know I mean business. You know, when you have that look, each mum has a look, and they know that when I look like that, that they've done something wrong. So I think that has more of effect than if I'm like, boys, if that makes sense. How do you respond when both your younger kids want or need you at the same time? I just go to whoever needs me or whoever's the most upset. There are times where I just sit on the floor and cuddle them both together, because they both want me, they're both upset and they just want cuddles. So yeah, I just end up just sitting on the floor and just cuddling them both together. Sometimes I just sit on the floor and then all 4 of them bundle me, so I'm like having a cuddle with all 4 of them on the floor. So that is the end of my questions, guys. I still had quite a few more to get through, but a lot of them are very similar questions that I just kind of worded differently. So I feel like I've answered everything and I've covered all areas. I said before, I've not really given the most amazing tips or advice, but I don't know, I just genuinely feel like being a positive, relaxed, happy person definitely gets you through the day. Yeah, I really hope that this has given you an insight into how I cope on my day-to-day life. My mum is actually downstairs with the boys at the moment. 2 of them are napping, so she's only got the 2, so I've managed to escape upstairs and film this video for you. So yeah, I hope you found it interesting, and also please, if you do have any other questions that I haven't answered and you really want to know, then just leave me a comment down below and I will answer it for you. Please remember to give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe if you are not a subscriber already. I am so close to my next milestone. I can sort of feel it, it's so close. So remember to subscribe, give me a huge thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.